we're back again for another episode of Shining the Light On. YouTube is setting us up. We're live. How are you, Therese? Happy Wednesday.
Happy summer solstice.
Happy summer solstice. Yes. I
yeah,
feel like
beautiful. I hope. Go ahead.
You go ahead.
I was just saying, I hope that it stays light really late tonight. It says it's supposed to, the sun's going to go down at like 9-10 or something, but I was really hoping for like a 10 p.m. sundown.
I hear you. It's always nice to have the longer daylight, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
definitely.
I'm super pumped to dive into today's episode. Like the Schumann Resonance has been doing some cool stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So do you want to talk a bit about what the Schumann Resonance is first off, for those who maybe don't know, and then let's talk about just some of the cool things that have been going on, because it's cool.
Right. So the Schumann Resonance is named after a scientist. I want to say it was a mathematician, and I can't remember his first name, but so his last name is Schumann. And he actually came up with a theorem that predicted the electromagnetic field of the Earth, the rate at which it vibrates, which is 7.8 hertz is the resting rate of the heartbeat of the Earth. So what it's measuring is the electromagnetic field. So the field between, I believe, the surface of the Earth and the atmosphere and how it's reacting to the atmosphere. And so the Schumann resonance is so amazing because it helps regulate. I mean, the electromagnetic field of the Earth helps us regulate. Without that, we would die. Right. Yes. We need it to be alive. And often, it centers and grounds us. It is that grounding force energy that we feel. And we have an intimate connection to the Schumann resonance because humans' brain waves actually match the Schumann resonance. When we are in an alpha brainwave state, we are at the 7.8 hertz. Wow. And alpha brainwaves, for those who, there's a lot of brainwaves, right? We've got a whole spectrum that we go through, but the alpha state, this is at first it's a light trance state. So whenever you're in that trance like state, when you're driving or you're thinking, you're going into alpha. But it's also our creative focus state. It's where we go when we meditate. It's that first state we enter as alpha. And so there's a lot of beautiful correlations that happen for humanity when we're in an alpha brainwave state. So it's super beneficial. And the Earth radiates this for us all the time. But the reason we want to talk about the Schumann resonance is because it started to change. And what was really interesting, I started paying attention to it back in 2016. when it first started to wake up. And the reason I say wake up is because they likened its resting rate as someone in sleep, right? They said 7.8 hertz is like the Earth is like sleeping, she's resting. But she started to awaken and jump to different levels. She was like at a 25, and that was like a huge jump for us to go from 7.8 to 25. Yeah. Was a huge jump. And when these happen, what it's telling us is there's things happening in space. So for those of you who are paying attention to space weather, like solar weather, it's letting us know that the sun is sending us more information, sending us more photons, more electrons. Like we're receiving upgrades and information from the sun that is being absorbed into the Earth, and then it comes out into the field. When the sun's energy hits the Earth's electromagnetic field, it moves to the poles, right? So it goes into the poles. And when it does that, it releases all these photons and creates the beautiful aurora borealis that we see. Right. And yes. So whenever we get these peaks, usually what we see is aurora borealis, and it's coming down more and more. And the stronger the influx from the sun, the more aurora borealis we see. And we've had people seeing it as far down as like Arizona in the United States, which that's not common. No. Right? That's when it's in its peak. So the reason we wanted to chat about it was because over the weekend, so this is the last weekend, I want to say it started on the 16th, definitely on the 17th. The Schumann spiked to the highest it's ever been, which was 190 hertz.
Holy crap.
190. That means that she went from being asleep to like Superman flying. That's the distinction it would make. If the earth was a human being and resting was 7.8, 190 would mean you'd gone like
Wow.
galactic
Wow.
in consciousness. Yeah.
That's
So
incredible.
it is incredible. And for those, I don't know if you have a screenshot of what it looked like of the Schumann, but the Schumann graph, what it shows us is that it shows us these spikes in a vertical pattern up and down. And when it's really intense, we usually get whiteouts, these really white periods. But over the weekend, we got something no one's ever seen before. There were even rumors, Amber, right, going around that it was photoshopped. Like some people didn't even believe the pattern that was created on the Schumann recording devices because we've never seen this before. But what was happening is with this huge 190 not degree, but 190 hertz spike, what we got are these beautiful patterns that you can see here on your screen, which look like DNA helixes.
Yeah.
Right. So if you look what's going on before, what you see there is the regular up and down with some kind of like colors showing in, and the brighter the color. So the whites and the oranges, those are big spikes that are happening there. And then what you'll see too are these black bars that come down on some of them. And those black bars represent a timeline jump. But this is the typical Schumann. In fact, I checked today's peak and we're at a 58, that's still really high. That's a high.
Yeah.
58 hertz is high. But that pattern that we were seeing with the helixes was something that has yet to be seen before.
I'd say, yeah, it's incredible.
And it is affecting humanity. It's affecting us in an electromagnetic way. And we are hydroelectric beings. So electricity has a huge impact on the human vehicle. And maybe you could actually talk to that. But, we're powered by water and the sun, really. These are two major power sources for humanity. And they're coming together and they're doing this thing, and it has just begun now, right before the summer solstice, right after this pattern that appeared. We got another timeline jump, black bar, which indicates that we've jumped to a new timeline. And we're still in these peaks. So Amber, I want to ask you, so I said we're hydroelectric beings and that electricity affects us on a deep level. Can you kind of speak to that a little bit, kind of round that out?
So we are we're what, 75% water, and we contain, or ideally we're supposed to contain, a lot of minerals in our body to assist us with, I don't know if you can hear it, there's like a huge storm that just hit and there's like heavy rain and thunder. So if you can hear that, that's what it is in the background. That's why I keep looking outside, because I'm like, wow, that just blew up literally right when we started. This is kind of funny. But yeah, so I think that what is, this light coating is coming onto the planet, and as we know, humanity has never attempted ascension with actual like beings on a planet at the time the earth is ascending. And so when we already have like gut issues and hormone imbalances and mineral deficiencies and all these things going on, some people aren't drinking enough water, like whatever it is, I think what ends up happening is we have these Schumann spikes where it's like 50 or 90 or 191, and the body is taking in all of these light codes, these higher frequencies, and then we're ending up with these ascension symptoms, since the body, the DNA, the blood is shifting to a more crystalline plasma-like structure. And I think I can't imagine the depth of detail that is going on in our bodies right now to help that shift. But I think, a lot of us are feeling a lot of ascension symptoms. And I think this, being that we're sensitive beings to begin with, but then with this, it's not a sensitivity that we've necessarily learned how to master yet. And you think that you get through an ascension symptom, like my gallbladder meridian seems to get more impacted, and then I have like a little bit of discomfort here, and then when I eat fat I get a little pain, but every time I've gotten my blood work and my ultrasound, like everything's fine, and it's so energetic and it's so spiritual, right? And I have to just kind of like honor my body through it. Like I can't make it go away before it wants to. I can rest and pull back on my lymphatic drainage and try to eat less fat, but it stays for the time it wants and it leaves when it wants to, not the other way around.
So let me add to that. That's a great point. So I just released a podcast episode on my Modern Mystic Soul podcast that was an excerpt from the last full moon in Sagittarius, which happened June 4th. And my team came through and they gave us a message about what was coming and what to prepare for. And one of the things they said was, right now, what we're working with you on is releasing any trapped lower energy in the subconscious mind. It's coming out. It's working itself out now. So not only does your mind help hold emotion in the body, but your subconscious mind, which is the greater part of your mind, is also doing this too. So there is a lot of emotional release that comes with it. Could be trapped in parts of the body, which is why you might have bodily symptoms happening. I can share with you what happened for me during this super heightened time. So my team is like, if you can't process this consciously, we're going to put you to sleep. So I've been very sleepy, but not only that, I've had a symptom that I haven't had in a while, and that was vertigo. So it was crazy. It was Sunday night when it was still at its height, and I was sitting in the bathtub, and it literally felt like the world shifted sideways for a second. I'm just sitting there. And the world's like, shift. And I was like, oh my God, what? And then it was back. But it's one of those things where you're like, what just happened? Like, why did, how is physics possible right now?
It's true.
And so I want to add to that now this part I don't know much about, so I can't speak to it too much, but I have heard that our planetary poles are shifting. That's part of the process. Seems like it's doing it in a way where we can all handle it, because if the poles were to do a flip, we would have we would have terrestrial what's the word I'm looking for, cataclysm. We would have cataclysmic events happening if we were having massive pole flips. So the pole degrees are shifting very slowly, and apparently they're at a point where it's like 40 degrees. Anybody who knows more about pole shifting or this whole thing, you can please leave us a comment, help explain this for us. But as I understand it, it's at 40 degrees right now. They're in this shift, and that puts the Earth in its most vulnerable electromagnetic field state. Our electromagnetic field is really open, right? It's not super solid right now. It doesn't have the buffer, I guess, it would normally have. It's at sort of a open or vulnerable point, which means we're primed for massive solar energy. And for those who follow me or who know a lot about ascension, this makes us prime for the solar flash energy. I'm like, we're kind of wide open right now. It's like the Earth is standing there with their arms open, like, okay, I'm ready for it. Which means that this solar spike activity that we saw is likely not the first.
No,
it's likely going to happen again. And apparently there's new solar development. There's new storms happening on the sun that are just popping out. And apparently they're not, they're in regions that they weren't expecting to see solar storm activity, which means that we're getting more, the sun's doing more, which means we're going to be feeling more, and it's going to be reflected in our electromagnetic field. So here are some signs you can look for, right? Radio waves. If anybody who's using an actual radio might notice, like there's the radio might actually black out in some cases. Some other ones, tech. Amber, haven't you seen some tech stuff going on?
Yes, internet outages, Zoom glitches, my Facebook Messenger being like, you're logged out, as we have a little tech glitch right now. Right? Legit is happening right now. It must be the storm. It must be the frequencies on the storm. But yeah, all of those kinds of things, technology slowing down, apps going down. Instagram stories weren't working one day last week for a few hours. Our internet went down for 6 hours last Tuesday, right?
Right. And we can expect more of that. Then that's a sign that something is going on, right? So, and also the other signs you can look for is, can you see aurora borealis, especially if you're not somewhere like Alaska where you'd see it a lot, or Greenland where they get it all the time. If you're somewhere where, if you're like, I don't know, in Texas and you're seeing aurora borealis, that's a sign that we're
Big
getting
time.
inundated with photonic light. All right, I was thinking about something else I wanted to mention, and it's gone.
It's
It's
gone.
gone. Guess it wasn't important.
But yeah, so if you're having a lot of fatigue and brain fog and headaches and just symptoms that
Right.
seem out of the blue, that and maybe you go and investigate certain things and it's like there's nothing there. Well, maybe it is ascension symptoms.
Absolutely. So I actually wanted to share some of the things we could do naturally that could help us. I think we could both add to that list of some of the ways you can help your body during this process. One of the things that I am pretty big about is like get out in the sun, if you can get in the morning sun, if you can get in the sunset sun, these are really potent times to get the sunlight on your skin and absorb the information that's coming through, because this is going to help with the cellular changeover that's happening inside all of us. We are becoming less dense in the sense of frequency and lighter in frequency, but we're also becoming more light in a corporeal way. We're less carbon and more crystalline plasma, which is a light type of a physical light type of construct that's happening too. And so by letting yourself absorb those solar energy, it's like you're giving yourself the boost that your body needs. And also, you're going to be outside and maybe you're in a place where it's warm enough that you could take your shoes off and put your feet flat on the ground so that the sun can come in, but the earth can anchor you at the same time.
I love that. We've been spending so much time just standing in the grass, honestly, with the sun shining on us. And it just, it's feeling more than usual, like rooting, grounding, cleansing, healing, like more than it ever has before. So you can really feel the shift of energy through the earth. I'm a huge advocate for minerals, your liquid minerals, your electrolytes in your water, a pinch of Celtic salt or pink or gray sea salt in your water, using pink or gray sea salt in your food, Epsom salt baths, sea salt baths, like getting your minerals, because we naturally will burn through them more easily with different, like I said, stressors, hormone imbalances, depletions. So make sure you're getting those because they're very important to assist with the ascension. I do think working with things like homeopathy and essential oils are very powerful because they hold such a frequency, and the higher our frequency gets, our bodies are actually going to respond better to homeopathy because of the energy basis behind it. So like I just noticed lately, like some of my homeopathy is working better than a vitamin is. So that's really interesting as well. And I think hydration is really important, right? Hydration is super important. Fruits, ideally, if you can get local, pesticide free and or organic, but to me, without the spraying is the key. But fruit is so important to assist in the ascension upgrades, and the fruits have specific sacred geometry in them that are meant to help assist us with this. Like since October, I've pretty much had smoothies every morning for breakfast, and usually my body doesn't want that, but she's just like, give me the smoothie. I need the smoothie. Like, and I'm staying sustained for 3 hours because I put my avocado in, I put my collagen in, like my cinnamon for blood sugar. So you can add these things to really help make sure your blood sugar is very supported, right? So food for thought, it's definitely some, fruits. You may find you're wanting more vegetables. Like I find it's, it's a lot of the fruits and veggies and things that are just so high frequency that are just assisting with this right now. Do you have any other things you want to add?
Yeah, I've been doing the pinch of Celtic salt on my tongue before drinking water, and I have been feeling the effects of that. So that was something that we had heard from, was it Barbara O'Neill?
Barb O'Neill, you got it.
Love her. So she was talking about how there's 3 different types of magnesiums in Celtic salt. That's why it's a little on the moist side. But she had said, put a little, like a crystal of it on your tongue before you drink water, and you'll be helping the magnesium absorb into your, what are
cells,
those?
into the cell,
Thank
like
you.
through the cell wall. And so that's the thing. Yeah.
Goes right into the glands and gives it the magnesium right away. So that I've been finding that helpful. One of the things I've been noticing is that you might also find there's a change in appetite. Like it's weird, a lot less food right now seems to be required. Again, this isn't a call to restriction at all. Don't do it to yourself. Pay attention to your body and what she needs. I've just noticed that my body is like, I don't want that. I want this. Just give me this.
She's
And I
very
eat that.
clear.
And the body's like, yeah. And it's, because it's processing. Also, you might need more rest at this time. You might find that you are exhausted, and it's not an energy thing. It's like a reserve thing. Your body is like, no, I need to reserve this energy for these other processes. So you might find that you're slowing down a bit. And I would recommend honoring that process as much as you can. Allow yourself to slow down. Even if you're a person like me who resists slowing down, try to slow down.
Yes.
Because this is a bigger process. I mean, there's a literal changeover that's happening, and it's happening at the cellular level. So you might not be seeing it yet, but you will. In a while, you'll see it.
Yes, exactly. So just be patient and continue to learn and follow people and resources that can help educate you, because none of us have been taught this. So it's nice to find like-minded souls who can share to help us better understand and take action, assisting our bodies and our energy fields and everything. So should we ask a couple of questions, check in with the cards?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
Okay, so I have one question that we had talked about before, but before we ask that, is there anything else that's coming to mind for you that you want to ask about the Schumann Resonance or what happened this weekend?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I want to ask it. I'm having trouble phrasing it. Something along the lines of, see, every time I try to ask it, they answer right away. So I was asking my team, like, have we started like, are we in the window now where we're heading towards the solar flash? And they said, you've been in this window the whole time. And I'm like, okay, so that's not the answer to ask, because the answer is yes. Okay, maybe what is the significance of the pattern that was shown to us on the Schumann resonance? What's the significance? Some people are saying it's talking about DNA upgrades. Let's see what we get here. Okay, so let me just ask my team. Okay. While I'm shuffling, if you have any other thing that you want to add. Okay, here we go.
Just jumped right out.
It flew out, and it's my freaking favorite card. This would represent cosmic consciousness card. This is like the star seed card that comes out. This is the star. Look at that upgrade coming through, right? It's letting you know, ooh, major cosmic ray upgrade. Oh, starseed awakening on deeper level. Like, oh my God, your purpose, your like soul mission, that was like activated. Like, so you might be asking yourself, am I doing the right thing? If those of you who are in a moment where you're like, I feel like I'm supposed to be doing something, and like, what is it? The message is like, it's downloaded. Right now we have to relax and let that process, let it come out. But if you've been going, is there something more for me to do? That information, today is a beautiful day to meditate on that. What is my starseed mission? Or what is, if you're not correlating with starseed, maybe light worker. And if that doesn't work for you, just like, what is my highest purpose here on this plane? Meditate on that point and let it come to you, because it was downloaded. Wow.
And it's funny that you bring all it up, because Blossom Goodchild's channelings, they talk about the envelopes that are downloaded and they're within us, but they all open at a different time and will get triggered to open. It's the same thing. Right? Cool.
Yeah. That's what that was, though. That was like the little download. It's in there. It's unlocking.
So cool. Oh my gosh. Okay. So second question, right? There's all kinds of different timelines going on, and these Schumann, like, we jump timelines. And so for those of us who are fluent with the Schumann resonance and the awakening and timeline shifts and ascension and these envelopes and all of these things, will we experience everything and then have a timeline shift, or on the ascension timeline will we just kind of go to that timeline and not have to go through potentially some of the things that are forecast to happen, whether it's blackouts or bank accounts or, you know,
Right.
all the
So,
stuff.
right. So do we have to watch the whole movie
Yeah.
of the bad guys being revealed, the disclosure happens about what happened,
Yeah.
and watch it like all the final stages, or do those who are choosing or have been have put themselves on the highest timeline, do we just jump ahead basically?
Exactly.
Okay, let's see if we can get an answer on that.
And as always, if you have questions, feel free to leave them in the chat. If you're with us live, if you're watching the replay, feel free to leave topic ideas, questions, feedback below. We love to hear from you guys, and we're always happy to create some new topics based on what you want to hear from us. I'm curious what the universe has to say about this question.
Yeah, me too. So I'm asking my team if those who've chosen the highest timeline will be part of the movie of disclosure, or will we move to New Earth or Blessed Gaia, whatever you want to call it. See what they give us. Lord, you're making me shuffle it. Okay. All right. The cards are like flying
They're
out.
flying out
Okay,
today. Must be all the Schumann upgrades.
Interesting. This one is really hard. So I've got 2 sevens. I've got one in the upright position and one in the reverse position. And they are the futility card. I feel like this is the mental. So though, okay. It's like, this is really about where you move yourself mentally. So here's a 7 of swords. It's called the futility card. Look at that little reptilian looking monster chasing people. This really has to do with where you're moving your mind to. Right now, and then the other one I'm getting is the 7 of discs reverse, which is about worry. I mean, this one is like a failure card, like I'm worried that I failed or I'm messed up. I feel like they're not going to give me a direct answer about it, but rather recognize where's your mind.
Which makes
they're
sense.
Sort of saying, they're kind of mirroring something that I said to Amber privately, which is your belief system will dictate where you're at, which is why you need to continually be mindful about what it is. You know, they talk about be mindful about what you're consuming, because whatever you consume is what you become. And they say this about food. They say it about media, content that you're absorbing. So that is helping you pick your timeline.
Yeah.
So if you're, there's some of us who sort of do a smattering. We do like a smorgasbord effect where we're like, I follow this person, but this person. And then I pick, I kind of look at everything and I kind of feel into it. That's fine, but do it consciously, do it mindfully. If you haven't decided where it is you want to go, do that now. Because part of this is you're not recognizing your own conscious power. Your own consciousness. So if you want to see, or I mean, like and also your belief creates your reality, and you work to prove your beliefs to be true. So if you believe scary things are happening and it's going to be the worst of the worst, you're going to actually work to prove that true. You're going to look for things that validate your belief system. And I was saying to Amber, I'm like, look, we do it too, even though we want the higher frequency stuff, we're looking to validate it. We listen to the people who validate those feelings. In that case, I feel like at least that's choosing something that's uplifting you and empowering you, right? It seems like for now, and maybe I didn't ask when, and that's always the thing, when you're asking your team, they're very, I always say they're very European in their approach to answering. You got to ask it in the specific way or you're going to get a literal answer. So currently at this time, we're going to be watching this movie. We're going to be watching it play out. However, what you see will be reinforced by your belief system. So again, our minds are always interpreting things that we see, and they're interpreting to make you right. It's based on your reticular activating system, which is your brain's filter. And the
Right.
way your filter is designed is by your belief system. So if you believe that the world is going to hell in a handbasket and is going to be a fiery hot, fireball before you die, then you're going to look for evidence that proves that. And what you're doing is you are moving yourself to a timeline where that will experience. Now, this one might be out there for some listeners, but just bear with me for a minute. I'm going to take you out into the woo-woo now. So we have an infinite number of timelines co-playing out at the same time. I think the best way to picture it is like different stations on the radio. They're all playing, right? All the different radio stations are playing simultaneously, but you only hear the one you're tuned into.
Exactly.
So that doesn't mean that other stations aren't also happening. They are. You're just tuned out of it. Your consciousness is not there.
Yeah.
So there will be some people who experience very dark timelines and things happening because they're tuning into it.
Yes.
And those timelines do play out. So do the ones that play out where things get better and better and better.
Yeah.
So the choice is still yours. You're not being put somewhere by some other force who's like, I'm going to pick you up and move you here.
Yeah.
You're moving yourself there by what you focus on, what you consume, what you take in, which is one of the reasons why we did this podcast, right? Was to get conscious of what we're consuming, because even the food lowers your frequency, as Amber often talks about, right? You can accidentally move yourself to heavier, denser timelines just from consuming heavy, dense food that's not nurturing you.
Yeah, exactly. No, it totally makes sense. Totally makes sense with the timelines, tuning into the frequencies, what you're focusing your mind and your energy and your emotions on, just like with everything else, right? So, well, this is amazing as always. Where can everyone find you if they want to come and check out your work, support your YouTube?
So you can find me at blythestarlight.com. You can also go to Blythe Starlight on YouTube and Instagram. And of course, check out that podcast so you can hear what's going on. That's the Modern Mystic Soul podcast, and it's available on all podcast platforms. And Amber, how about you?
Yeah, and all those details will be below so you can easily access them. You can go to all the details below and go to amberapproved.ca if you want to talk about supporting your hormone health, gut health, healing your relationship with food, mind, body, soul to help you on this ascension journey. There's a podcast and all kinds of other resources below, so feel free to check them out, and feel free, if you are loving this, to share any topic ideas or questions that you have. We'd love to hear from you, and we definitely want to bring more goodness to you as we go through this ascension. So thank you again for joining us today, and we will see you next Wednesday, same time, same place.
Bye.